Hi guys, it's Ray here from Man City Fan TV. Got another bumper update for you today. I'm going to be talking about Junior Firpo, Frankie de Jong, Sergio Aguero, Leroy Sané, Daniel Arzani, Luka Modric, Ben Knight and Georgi Chakvetadze. But before I get into all that, it'd be great if you guys could subscribe to the YouTube channel if you already haven't done so. Down below you'll see a big red button, say subscribe. Just click on that, and if you can click the bell icon, you'll be notified as soon as we put out new videos. So let's get cracking with Frankie de Jong. It's been reported in the papers, I think it was over in Spain, that Spurs are looking to put in a bid of around £40 million for this young kid. I think I did a video back probably in May, probably about 4 months ago, talking about Frankie de Jong. Now, he's a 21-year-old midfielder currently playing for Ajax in the Eredivisie. And even though last season he played most of the season as a defender, his preferred position is in midfield. He wants to be kind of a defensive midfielder, but who can create. I think he feels his best attributes passing and tackling. Now, he missed the last 3 months of last season with injury, and that's quite relevant to what he wants to do in the future. Now, as I said, Spurs look like they're interested, but also Barcelona are interested. It seems that they may already have a provisional agreement with Ajax for Frankie de Jong to go there. City are interested, PSG, Dortmund. It seems every big club who's anybody these days who's got a bit of money to spend is interested in Frankie de Jong. Now, Spurs, it says in the paper, in one of the British papers, I think, that they're thinking about January and putting a bid in, trying to get him over in January. And I personally think that's a load of rubbish. If you know anything about Frankie, he really wants to stay at Ajax for the season. As I said, he missed the last 3 months of last season, and he wants to show the Ajax fans what he can do in his preferred position of midfield. He also wants to bring the Eredivisie title back to Ajax. So any talk of him moving in January, I really can't believe that. With so many suitors after him, why would he give up one of his dreams so early just to move to Spurs rather than maybe wait till the summer and go to City or Barca or PSG? There's lots of options for him. I just can't see him leaving in January. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't think anything will be done on Frankie de Jong anytime soon. I really see the movement. There might be a pre-contract agreement or something like that, or Ajax might say he's going to leave at the end of the season. They might say that in January, let's say. They want to hold him onto him as long as they can. They lost a couple of other young kids recently. I think there was Kluivert's son. Patrick Kluivert's son. He went to Italy, and so they don't want to lose too many good players all at the same time. They want to challenge for the Dutch title this season, and they need people like Frankie de Jong to stay all season and help them with that challenge. So I expect him to stay all season. Whether City put a bid in for him, I don't know. I think if it's true that he's got that deal with with that deal with Barcelona, then I can't see anybody pushing Barcelona aside. So we'll just wait and see, as I said. Moving on to Junior Firpo. Now, as my Twitter followers will have noticed, yesterday I put out a message about City being potentially interested in this Dominican-born 22-year-old left-back who plays for Betis in Spain. Now, although he was Dominican-born, I think he's been called up to the under-21 squad in Spain. So that might make things a little bit easier if we need a work permit, for instance, for this kid. Now, his release clause is is an eye-watering £54 million. £54 million for a 22-year-old left-back who's only played, I think, about 17 or 18 games for Real Betis since he joined them 4 years ago. Now, that's a heck of a lot of money for a young kid who's hardly played at all. But the reports are very promising on him. Whether Betis would hold out for £54 million, I just don't know. If City come calling, I can see them trying to hold out for that sort of money. Do we need him? Well, you can argue that City should be in the market for another left-back, because if you think that Fabian Delph was only a makeshift left back, if you think that Zinchenko was a makeshift left back, we've only really got one out-and-out left back in Ben Mendy. You can argue that Danilo is a utility player. He can play left or right back or defensive midfielder. But I think we'd want another young player in that specific position. And Junior Firpo could be that guy. There's going to be other clubs knocking around, looking at him, being interested in him. I can see the reasons why City are interested in him. But it's another one. We'll just have to wait and see. But I'll be very interested. He looks exciting. He's played all the games for Betis this season. It's only 3. But he looks like he's made that left-back spot his own. And I think we'll see. If he carries on developing the way he does, then maybe later on this season, City might be putting in a bid for him. Moving on to Sergio Aguero, the best striker we've probably seen at Manchester City. Now, he was voted Etihad Player of the Month for August. He got 61% of the vote. That's quite massive. Bernardo Silva was second and Ben Mendy was third. Now, Aguero had a great August. He scored 5 goals. He got one assist in 4 league games. So he started this season on fire. I think in one of my previous videos in the last week or two, I said I can really feel he's so hot this season. He looks strong. He looks physically strong. He looks like he's got energy, a lot more energy than normal. He's chasing down everything. He's coming back to help the midfield, to win the ball, to pass the ball, to move. His movement has been exceptional this season. It's been a bit disappointing that some of our attacking midfielders haven't found him when he's made some of these darting, fantastic runs. And if you go to games, you won't see what you know on the TV. You miss a lot of the movement he makes off the ball. But when you're at the ground, Andy and me last week were at the game up in the gods in the third tier. You can see all the movement he makes, absolutely fantastic. And as I said, it's a shame that he's not found by some of the midfielders more often. Now, he's scored his 200th City goal already in such a short space of time. I think that goal was against Chelsea in the Community Shield. And he's got yet another hat-trick against Huddersfield. And personally, as I said before, if he stays fit, I can see this being Sergio Aguero's best ever goal-scoring season for City. And I can also see him breaking Alan Shearer's Premier League record for hat-tricks. Now, Alan Shearer's record is 11. Sergio's already got 9. You might think it's a big ask to get another 3 hat-tricks this season. But from the form I've seen, from the movement he's been making, he looks on it. He looks really, really on it this season. And fingers crossed he'll get 50 games in the league and the cups and the Champions League. And I really want him, it's about time he got us a goal a game. It would be fantastic. No one's done that for so long. To get something like 40, 50 goals. 50 goals would be unbelievable. For him to top 250 this season for City, maybe it's a little bit pie in the sky. You could argue it's a little bit optimistic, but I have high hopes for Sergio Aguero this season. Leroy Sané. Moving on to Leroy Sané. What are we going to do with this young chap? A lot of stories, obviously, in the last week or so. If you go back to Andy's video from about 10 days ago, we had a discussion about Leroy Sané and whether something's eating him, whether this is a problem. If you go back to videos we've done over the summer on the American tour, for instance, there were questions raised about Sané and his non-involvement, and the mention by Pep that he was not fit, which seems really surprising since Leroy didn't go to the World Cup. You'd have thought he would have been one of the fittest players there, buzzing, ready to go, eager to show what he can do and show what Germany missed. And for him to be told he wasn't fit, I just didn't buy that personally. So now with all the issues about his attitude, Toni Kroos, a German player, has come out and criticised his attitude as well. Toni Kroos has said, "He's a player who has everything you need to be a world-class player, but sometimes you have to tell him he has to perform better. What is crystal clear is Sané's quality, his pace, his left foot. He was fantastic for City last year, but Pep has the same problem at the moment. He's trying to get the best out of him. If he performs, he's a real weapon. I can only agree with that. I mean, Leroy Sané at his best is unbelievable. And if he can get back to that best and continue improving within the next 2 or 3 years, he's going to be quite comfortably, in my opinion, one of the best 2 or 3 attacking players in the world. Probably one of the best wingers in the world. And he should be knocking on the door for better accolades as an individual, as well as helping City get more trophies and go deeper in some of the more important competitions like the Champions League. So fingers crossed Leroy can, whatever is eating him, whatever the problem is, if there's a problem, he can sort it out with the help of Pep and his teammates and the management and coaching staff at City. And we just want to see Leroy back to his best, back to last season. And fingers crossed we'll see that very, very soon. See you around, Blues.